What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Crazy for KV's RC. I'm Tim. Welcome back to my channel. Thanks for watching. So we have the last episode of the RC Garage Tour for my crawler section. Now I have other crawlers that have been built since. I've got the smaller scale stuff. I've got Bashers, Rock Bouncer. But when I started this series, I had 13 crawlers that were running. So we wanted to do a full tour, kind of let you guys know what I have in my collection. That way in the future, if I do another video on any of these, I can just link the garage tour video and you guys will get a very good foundation of what the truck is, kind of how it drives, what my thoughts are about it, and basically how much I drive it and how much I enjoy it. So we're on episode 13, lucky number 13. Anything built from now on, I'll kind of talk about where it probably stands in this, and as I drive it more, get more used to it, that may be adjusted, but it's an ever-growing collection and addiction, so no point in redoing the series every time I get another car, because I would never get anything done. So in this episode, we have my orange tube buggy, orange Jeep, whatever you want to call it. The reason I call it a Jeep is because it does have a Jeep front hood on it. And this is by far the most custom thing you guys have seen so far on the garage tour. So the description of this and kind of walking you guys through it may be a little bit long. I'll try to keep it short-winded, but there's just kind of a lot to go through. So if any of you guys are familiar with Harley Designs, Josh Thede over there runs a great channel. Lots of really good fabrication stuff, a lot of really good custom builds. Very over-engineered, but that's something I highly appreciate about his channel because he doesn't just wing it. Lots of design. Puts a lot of thought into what he's doing and does some really cool stuff. But if you guys are familiar with him, this may look familiar. When you saw it on his channel, it had some custom Cerakoted white wheels on it. It was sitting on crawlers as well, but he never did a video on it. He never had it finished. He showed it a few times on some live streams. The first time I saw it, I immediately went to the internet trying to figure out what the heck it was. Didn't know a lot about custom chassis stuff at the time. Who were the fabricators that everyone kind of knew? Could not find it. And I never really had the nerve to ask him because A, I didn't really want to bother him with the question. Thought maybe it was an obvious answer. And I really wanted to build one myself, you know, get the cage and then put something together. I was having to look through his for sale section one day and I saw this thing. And the first time I saw it, I saw the price tag. It's not important. I'm not going to say what it was. If you guys saw it on there, you know basically what I paid for it. But it came with the chassis, body panels, axles, transmission, motor ESC, no wheels, no tires. It was basically kind of a roller, but a lot of the stuff wasn't hooked up. The motor was in it. The ESC wasn't mounted. None of the interior was finished. It was kind of a box of parts, and actually the dig was even missing some stuff. So I sat on it for a few weeks and really thought about, you know, if I wanted to spend that much money on something I was going to have to put more money into. And eventually I asked him, you know, hey, is that still for sale? And he said, yeah, it is. I liked it so much, and I really wanted to support one of the YouTubers that's kind of inspired me and that I watch every single week, pretty much every video. So didn't really haggle on the price, just said, I want it, I'll take it. He was immediately like, let me send you a bunch of pictures just to make sure you're getting what you want. He sent me like 30 pictures, super detailed, and yeah, it looked basically just as good. You know, he claimed, you know, it's not perfect. The cage has some powder coating on it that's starting to flake off in a few spots. And I never really asked any questions about who built it or anything. I didn't care. I just knew that I wanted it. But my only beef with him is I did ask him, just for my own keepsake, to sign the inside of a panel, the hood, or one of the side panels, or even the roof. And he said he would, and I think he just forgot. Just got busy, so no harm, no foul. But I was like, man, that would have been awesome. I found out much later. I made an Instagram post, and somebody tagged someone and said, "Is this yours?" And he said, "Yep, that's mine. I built that." And his name is Asitrek RC. I hope I'm saying that right. I believe he's out of Spain. He does not typically sell this. I don't know if Josh bought it directly from him, but somehow he ended up with it. You can look at his Instagram page. I'll link it down below. And he's got build progress on cages that look very similar, maybe even the same one with different color on it. But yeah, I'm pumped to have it, and it's something that I don't think I'll ever get rid of. So if you guys have seen my RC Speedy C3, you kind of know how big that sits up here. That's also, you know, a caged rock crawler slash buggy. That's more of an Ultra 4 style. But this is really designed to be like a caged crawler. So let's just talk a little bit about what is inside of it. Kind of what I had to do to finish it. I don't remember exactly. Like I said, it was about half done, I'd say, when I got it. Maybe a little more. But there was some completion. It took me a while to kind of get around to it. It was something I was kind of cherishing and wanted to take my time on and enjoy and not try to rush. So, like I said, it did come with the motor. The motor's mounted up to a Vanquish 3-gear. It's in that clear anodized aluminum. It's got one of the dig units on it. The dig is ran by a really cheap Amazon servo, something I had in the bin. Just wanted to throw it on there. Does a great job. The motor is a Holmes Hobby Polar Pro Stubby, so it's actually one of the short can, 2700. It's got plenty of power, way more wheel speed than this thing would ever need. Could probably even go down to a 2200 for this, but it's what came with it, and didn't really want to spend any more money. Power on that motor, we have a Castle Copperhead, and that is underneath. It kind of sits right here. You can kind of see some of the wires poking through the cage, and I'll get you guys some close-ups as well. And I did actually have to take the fan off of that, so it just has the heat sink. This thing's not really intended for long trail runs. I wouldn't really want to do that anyway. The unfortunate bummer of this is I was finishing it. I was having a really hard time figuring out where to put the ESC underneath the hood to keep it hidden, but also get these motor wires and sensor wire to that motor that sits right in here, and allow me to run the full dash that it did come with. A very basic styrene dash, and unfortunately I never really landed on a good solution, so I ended up taking the heatsink off the ESC, and it kind of sits right here, just where the firewall would be basically. And I actually had to cut part of that dash out. You can see, I'll get you guys some close-ups, but kind of a bummer. It's not too much of an eyesore when you're driving it. You don't really notice. I actually had to point it out to some people that have seen it, and they didn't seem too offended by it. So one day I'll get around to maybe shortening those wires, redo the dash, and kind of finishing it up a little bit better. You can also see it's only running one seat. I actually have the second seat for it. I just have not got it in there yet. It just needs some double-sided tape or something. But maybe keeping this thing unfinished is a way I'll always not want to sell it, because I really don't want to sell something that's what I consider incomplete. So in addition to kind of finishing out that interior, trying to get it right, one thing I did buy is I bought a Proline scale accessory kit, and I went ahead and primed up a little fuel cell, their Pro cell that comes in there, and that's actually what is designed to go back here. So I'm probably going to paint that up in all black, possibly orange. I don't think I'll do red. It just would kind of clash with the orange. And then I'll do the silver mounting straps on it, and then try to detail it up a little bit. But like the other things with this, it's the small details I'm having a hard time getting to, and those are sometimes the hardest things for me to do. There's always something bigger, a little more fun to do. Small detail painting isn't always my favorite thing to do, and it's definitely not my forte. So I'll get to it. This thing sits on the shelf with this back here, so it always reminds me. It sits right next to my computer desk, and every time I look at it, I see, oh, I need to finish the fuel cell. And I see the interior, I'm like, oh, I need to get that other seat in there at least. But just hasn't happened yet. Not perfect, and only have so much time. So moving on from that ESC and motor, other electronics, like I already mentioned, the cheap servo running the dig. We also have a NSD-RC RS800. That's a direct power servo, and that is running our steering. It does have a servo on axle mount on those beautiful Vanquish Capra axles. So this is running Capra axles, so nice and wide. The truck actually sits really low, not too heavy either for what it is, and actually it performs quite well. So speaking of those Capra axles, one of the best things about them is the steering angles you get out of them. You get some really sharp steering angles. This thing does have some brass inner and outer knuckles on it. I don't know who makes them. I don't think there's any logos on them, so they came with the truck. They were attached to the axles when I got it, but they're a pretty nice piece. They just stick out a little bit because they're brass, which a little bit unfortunate, but that isn't really a big deal to me because this thing's far from perfect. So the truck, I believe, came with the standard incision shocks. And I actually swapped those out and put their newer S8 shocks. You've seen them quite a bit. I'm a big fan of them. Wasn't really in the mood to hit up a custom Cerakoter like Rusty in order to get some done in white. So I decided to kind of go similar. I ended up doing Vanquish 105s, and those are in the clear anodizing. And I also have clear scarns on the outside, orange inner beadlock rings, and the full scale hardware on all the wheels. And I actually really like the way they turned out. I think they look pretty awesome. I was thinking about more orange, but I think it would have been a little too much. So I think you just get little hints of orange right there in the wheels, and it looks really nice. Underneath, the truck also came with Incision drive shafts from Josh. So ran those, like them a lot anyway, so it was an easy choice. We're running Crawl Innovation medium foams all around. So they're a little bit stiffer, especially up front than what I normally run. I usually run soft up front, medium in the rear. But the truck doesn't have a lot of weight in the rear, so not too worried about it. Truck weighs 7 pounds, 11 ounces without a battery in it. I run small little 650 3S packs in it. Get, 15 to 20 minutes of runtime pretty easily. The next thing we're going to go over is the body panels. So this top, and I'll get you guys a little close-up of this, is a hard body Jeep. I don't know what it's from. Like I said, I linked the builder down below. He did the hood. So you may be able to ask him where he gets that from. But I really try to minimize my rollovers with this just because I am not a hard body expert by any means. I actually don't have any in 10 scale, so if I can avoid trying to figure out how to replace this or fix it, I'll be happy. I should probably just bend up a piece of aluminum and kind of use that as my running hood and swap it over when I'm done. The hood is mounted with just one single screw right in the middle. Not too much of an eyesore. Blends in pretty well, especially because there's already these little dimples up here. Yeah, even with those small batteries, it is extremely tight up here. I'll give you guys a close-up of that as well, just so you can kind of see it's a kind of a wiring mess, and it's quite a pain to get in there. But other than that, this truck is at the top of my list because it is by far my favorite thing to drive. I don't drive it all that often. If I'm going to be going out and I know the weather's going to be nice and I know I'm going to have extra time to really enjoy it, I definitely try to take this thing. It's actually very capable. It weighs about 3 pounds less than the RC Speedy C3. It's got much wider axles and the center of gravity is just a lot lower. So overall, it does way better than that does, but it's a completely different truck. So one last thing I want to mention is I actually am running the Vanquish machined rod ends on all these. And that was like one of the finishing touches I wanted to put on the truck. They take some time to put together, but the nice thing is they are perfectly threaded for rod ends, so you don't have to fight with plastic rod ends or use any special tools. They just twist right on. But that pretty much wraps it up here on the bench. Let's get outside, let's run it. I hope you guys enjoy watching it even a fraction as much as I enjoy driving it. Because I really hope to get this thing out quite a bit. I'm curious to see what your guys' reaction is going to be to it. Yeah, let's go get it out and run it, and I'll see you guys there. This truck's far too pretty for you guys to hear my long monotone voiceover, so we're just going to put on some music, and you guys can enjoy watching this thing crawl. Hope you guys liked it. I love that thing. Super fun to drive. Thanks for watching. Thanks for giving me an excuse to get it out and play with it. If you're in the East Georgia area and you know of a great place to run, let me know. Natural terrain is preferred, but yeah, love to hear back from you guys. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.